A new Marvel multiplayer game is rumored to be in development for the PS5, and that could be the final nail in the coffin for a NRS Marvel fighting game. So news of a Marvel multiplayer game comes from industry insider Nick Baker, who on the latest episode of the Xbox Era podcast explained that he has been told from a lone source that a Marvel multiplayer title of some sort is currently being developed. Nick said that there were some details on the game that he wasn't at liberty to share, but he did say he believes that the project as a whole, if it is real, would be exclusive to the PS5. Baker further theorized that Insomniac Games could once again be the studio that works on the Marvel project. Insomniac Games is already busy developing Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Marvel's Wolverine, but Baker seems to have more information about the project that he publicly revealed that makes him believe that this is a studio that could make the game happen. However, he made sure to specify that this is purely his own best guess about who could be developing it. On top of Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine, we also have Marvel Midnight Suns that's set to come out, along with Marvel's Avengers, which is currently still giving DLC to players, and the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy game. So already a pretty crowded space in the Marvel game universe. So based off this rumor and news, it would seem that this could be the final nail in the coffin for a NetherRealm Studios Marvel fighting game that has been rumored to be in development for a while now. We know that Ed Boon had talked about making a game that was not quite like Mortal Kombat, not quite like Injustice, and something kind of totally new in their wheelhouse. And many had speculated it could be a Marvel fighting game based off some clues that Ed Boon has tweeted about previously, and we've talked about it in previous videos. So could this actually be the case? Now we know that also recently Ed Boon has, as much about Ed Boon's tweets that he wants to give away, he has tweeted several other clues that would point that this is probably the case where maybe NetherRealm Studios is not going to be doing a Marvel fighting game based off of stuff happening with Warner Brothers games. You know, they're possibly still up for sale, so we're possibly looking at more of a Mortal Kombat 12, even Injustice 3. We did get some recent confirmation of that, possibly with a NVIDIA GeForce Now leak, which in some development code showed that we did have Mortal Kombat 12, a Mortal Kombat Next Gen game, which I think is Mortal Kombat 11. We also have Injustice 3 Gods Will Fall, amongst some other games that could possibly be in development. So none of those sound like a Marvel fighting game. Also, as I was saying, with Warner Brothers being potentially up for sale, that could put a strain on who would exactly buy it. You know, there have been rumors that we've been talking about Microsoft acquiring NetherRealm Studios, possibly even Warner Brothers games as a whole. And if that were to happen, and that means if you were to Microsoft Studios, you can probably bet that it'd be a little bit harder for them to have a Marvel fighting game, probably under Microsoft, just given how PlayStation's had a better track record. I think this rumor just kind of makes more sense that while I'm not happy it could be a PlayStation exclusive, it probably could just be where it's just not something that we'll probably see in the future. Now I know with this news, the PlayStation 5 exclusivity is something that many fans have already been worried about when it comes to Mortal Kombat, so given that Marvel has become more of a PlayStation type franchise, that's kind of worrisome since the only game on here that I think you can play is going to be Midnight Suns. I think that one's going to be on multiple consoles. I believe Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine is going to be exclusive to the PlayStation. You can play Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, on multiple consoles right now. And possibly even Marvel's Avengers. So I guess if they want to even it out 3 for 3, then I guess that could be what you do. But I don't know if they really need all that. Now, I know that Insomniac Games has made a lot of games specifically for the PlayStation, so I guess this kind of makes more sense of going that route. But I think, you know, Marvel needs to watch out, because I think if they do too many games exclusive to one console, maybe some players might notice and maybe complain, and maybe, I don't know, maybe a potential lawsuit could happen. I don't know. Nowadays with lawsuits, like with the iPhone and Apple and Epic Games and all that kind of stuff, there's no telling nowadays what kind of stuff could pop out of this. I personally am okay with this news about not having a NetherRealm Studios Marvel fighting game, or even a Marvel game in particular. Not that I wouldn't have loved to seen maybe like a Marvel versus DC, or a Marvel versus an MK, or just a Marvel game as a whole. I just personally don't think it was needed, and I think that NetherRealm Studios has much bigger fish to fry when it comes to things it can be working on, given there's an Injustice animated movie coming out that could probably do really well for the DC brand, so why not go with an Injustice game? I just recently talked about how Mortal Kombat was one of the most played games through multiple titles of the franchise, was the most played game in August. That was Mortal Kombat 11, Mortal Kombat X, Mortal Kombat XL, and also Injustice 2 was in that list. So you've got a lot of things going in these franchises that still need to be tended to so that we continue the success going forward. So NetherRealm Studios has their hands tied and busy with what they've got going on already, and they just need to kind of maybe stay in that wheelhouse. I know it would be fun to kind of branch out and do other things maybe in the future, maybe once the pandemic is over and things are a little bit better, maybe when Warner Brothers games finally gets a parent company that they're going to keep, or NetherRealm Studios gets passed off to somebody else. So, you know, I think for them, that's just kind of a better move in my opinion. But what do you think? What do you think about this news? Do you think that this is the final nail in the coffin for the NetherRealm Studios Marvel fighting game or Marvel game as a whole? And what do you think about the news about possibly Insomniac Games making a third game and it being a PlayStation exclusive? That's it for this video, guys. Enjoy that like button. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time on the Mashup.